Hi guys! Today's video is all about the most affordable and beautiful brushes in the market, and this video is long overdue because before I suggested all the different makeup techniques and all the different makeup out there, I should have probably recommended the best brushes so that you could use all of these makeup products, but better late than never, right? So without further ado, let's get into my favorite makeup brushes. So the first brush you probably need is a foundation brush, and for this I have 3 brushes to recommend to you, all from Real Techniques because it's one of my favorite brush brands. They make affordable quality makeup brushes, and the first brush I have for you is the buffing brush. Now this is a beautiful dome-shaped foundation buffing brush. This applies your foundation seamlessly, like you can hardly see a trace of it because it leaves no streaking, no patchiness, no unevenness. It just blends it in as beautifully as you probably would with your fingers, if not better. And if you don't own a foundation brush, you may probably want to start here because it's amazing. The second brush I want to recommend is the Real Techniques Sculpting brush. Now you can use this for foundation as well because it's just as densely packed as the buffing brush, and it's also slightly angled, so it makes it a lot easier to buff in your foundation because firstly you don't have to tilt your hands much to get the brush right on the cheeks. It's also quite soft, so it gives you that same smooth, seamless finish that the buffing brush does. And the third brush I want to recommend is the Expert Face Brush. It's a hybrid between the sculpting and the buffing brush because it's slightly pinched on the side, but it's just as densely packed and it has the same soft fibers. So again, gives you a smooth, even finish. Need I say more? The next brush you probably need is a concealer brush. Now, concealer can be buffed in with your fingers, and I think that's the best way to buff it in because it doesn't pull on your skin a lot. But if you do like to use a brush for your concealer, you can use the Real Techniques contour brush because it's much smaller than your foundation buffing brush, but it has that same dome shape and the same soft fibers, so it doesn't tug too much on the under eyes, and it buffs it in really beautifully because it comes to a nice point, so it's great for getting in the inner corner and around your nose to buff it in really beautifully. And since this is a contour brush, you can also use it for contour. You can use it for powder or cream products, and this is beautiful to get into the hollows of your cheeks, applying as well as blending it out into your skin to make it look natural and seamless. The next brush you will need is a powder brush. So if you are somebody who likes to powder your entire face, you may probably want a bigger brush, and Real Techniques makes a really good powder brush. It's quite large, so I would recommend picking that. They also make a really big blush brush, which I think serves as a better powder brush than it does a blush brush, because using such a big blush brush will get your blush all over your cheeks and not just on your apples where you probably intended it. So you can use either of those brushes for powder, but you could also use a powder brush from Color Bar. Now this is the one that has these pink silly looking synthetic fibers, and I don't like these brushes for any other purpose, but for powder it's quite good because it picks up very little product and it buffs it in very lightly on your face, so it doesn't look like you over powdered at any point. So this is another brush to try out, and it's quite affordable. If you don't like to powder all over and you just want to specifically powder underneath your eyes, maybe on your T-zone, you will need a smaller brush to do that. And for that, I have the Real Techniques setting brush. Now, because it's nice and small and it's not so densely packed, it picks up just the right amount of powder, whether it's translucent or compact powders, and it buffs it in really beautifully, so it leaves you powdered just where you need it and not all over for a nice luminous finish that you want on the rest of your face. I also love this for highlighter because it's a really nice and small size. It fits on the tops of your cheekbones, on your nose, at the temples perfectly, and buffs in highlighter, whether it's cream or powder. Another brush I absolutely love for highlighter is the Morphe M438. This is a tapered highlighter brush, and it's also very smooth because it has synthetic fibers, and it blends in highlighter so beautifully. Whether you like a very intense highlighter just in one small area, or you like it buffed in quite well, this brush does anything for you because it's the perfect shape to apply as well as to blend from the side. Another brush I like for cream products, specifically cream blush, cream highlighter, cream contour, is the Makeup Geek Cheek Highlighter Brush. Now this is duo fibered and it's flat at the top, which is why it's great for picking up just the right amount of product and then blending it into your cheeks. I use it for cream highlighter and I love this product because it blends it in beautifully. It's just the right size. So in spite of my small cheeks, this brush does such a good job of blending it right where I need it. The next brushes you need are blush brushes. Now these were the most challenging because it took me quite a while to find the most satisfactory blush brushes because none of the brushes were really the shape and size that I wanted it to. I have a small face, so I have smaller cheeks, and all the blush brushes out there were really big for my cheeks and would disperse the product all over when I just wanted it on the apples and towards my temple. So the brush that I found that does such a great job is the Morphe G8 brush. Now this is pinched on the side. It has varying sizes of bristles and it also comes to a nice point and it's extremely soft. I think if you ever bought this brush and used it, you wouldn't want to stop stroking your face because it's extremely smooth, much smoother than Real Techniques brushes, and it also picks up the blush beautifully and buffs it in. Now since it's quite densely packed, you may want to be a little careful with this brush because it can pick up quite a bit of blush, so just remember to dab it in very lightly into the product, especially if it's pigmented, and it does give you a beautiful finish whether you want to apply it just on your apples or on the entire periphery of your face. Now that's the problem when you're dealing with very pigmented blushes, right? When you use a very densely packed brush, it's bound to pick up more product than you need. So during this time, you will need a sheerer brush. And for that, I have found just the thing. This is the Ecotools Sheer Blush Brush. And as the name suggests, it's a very sparsely packed brush and that's why it picks up just the right amount of product. And it's also duo fibered. Duo fibered products generally pick up much less product than the usual full bristled ones because they're nice and tapered on the edge, so it picks up very little product. And this brush is nice and round, so while it picks up very little product, it also buffs it in very beautifully. And those were all my face brushes. Now let's move on to my favorite eye brushes. The first brush you probably need is a base eyeshadow brush, and these are the brushes that you apply color onto your entire lid. And I have two brushes for this purpose. The first is from Real Techniques. It's the base eyeshadow brush. And this brush is similar to the MAC 217 if you're familiar with that. It's not as tapered as the MAC 217, but it's still pretty close. And this is a flattened, it's medium packed, it's not too dense, not too sparse, and it's duo fibered, so picks up just the right amount of product and blends it in beautifully. So you can use the side to pick up the product and apply it onto your lid, and the edge of it to blend it into the crease. The next brush that I love for base shadow work is the Ecotools Base Shadow Brush, and this brush comes in a set of two, and both of these brushes are enough to do any kind of eye work, seriously. So it has brushes on either side, so it makes your work a lot easier. And the other side has an angled liner brush side. The other brush that comes with this set is a buffing brush. Now this is rounded on all sides, it's not flattened. The other brush that comes in this set is a buffing brush. This is a rounded brush, no flattened edges on any side, and because it's rounded, it's great for buffing product into the crease or blending out any color and just making it look very seamless and smooth. The other side contains a lower lash brush, so this is great for buffing in eyeshadow on the lower lash line because there you want it to be slightly smaller, but it's also good for buffing in any eyeliner and any detailed work, putting shadow in the inner corner. It's a great multitasking brush. So if you have these brushes, in my opinion, you have more than enough. Now, if you love your intricate eyeshadow work and you want a little more than your basic brushes, you want more buffing brushes, different sizes, different shapes, I have three brushes to recommend. All three are from Morphe. The first one is the Morphe M438, and this is a tapered buffing brush. Now this is great for concentrating one particular color in your crease and blending it out. If you don't want it to be too widespread all over your crease and you just want a specific color in the crease, this is perfect for that because it comes to a nice point, so it doesn't disperse the product more than you want it to. And if you want to do very widespread buffing, like all over the lid or just on your crease, all over your crease, then the other brushes I have for you are the Morphe M441 as well as the Morphe M505. Now both of these are rounded buffing brushes. One is natural bristled and the other one is synthetic. Now both of these do quite a good job. On continuous washing, the white brushes fray a lot easily than the black bristled ones. So it just depends on your personal choice because some people like natural fibers whereas some like synthetic ones. But it's just personal preference, but both of these do a superb job. The next couple of brushes are small detail brushes, and these can be used for blending shadow onto your lower lash line or using shadow on the outer V or in the inner corner, anywhere where you want small pinpoint precision. And the first one is my favorite, which I use in all of my videos. This is the Morphe M151. This is a natural bristled, very tiny, flattened, tapered brush. I use it for buffing in my shadow on my lower lash line as well as for my inner corner, and I also use it for doing my outer V, for just applying the product, and then I have another brush in which I blend it out. But it's such a great brush for a wide variety of uses, so this is definitely one of my favorites. The next brush is the Morphe M506. It's similar to the previous brush, but it's just a little bit bigger. But it has the same rounded tapered edge, so it's great for buffing in your outer V shadows as well as underneath the lash line and any kind of detailed crease work as well that you want to do. So if you find that the base shadow ones are still bigger, you want something even smaller, even more detailed, something like this is really good for buffing in into the crease for very precise crease work. Another brush that does the same is the Morphe M507. It's very close to the previous brush. It just differs very slightly in size, but they're pretty much identical brushes. So if you don't find one, you can go for the other. The last brush I have for you is the Real Techniques Detailer brush, and I'll tell you why this is so essential. So this brush is great for doing any spot concealing. So if you have a very tiny blemish that you want to cover, you can just use this brush, dip in your concealer and just apply it just where you want it, and it does such a good job. It's also good for lining your lips. So say you use a very dark red lipstick and you got it outside your lips and you want to clean that up. It really blends in the product perfectly around your lips, giving you a nice sharp line, and it's just great for any kind of precise work. I also like this for my inner corner when I just want a dab of inner corner highlight. So these are all the products that I wanted to recommend to you. I hope you found these useful and I hope I covered everything. And if you still have any doubts, if you want some more recommendations, do let me know and I would love to address them. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!